Greetings again. As we catch up with the missing video in this series of lessons, we bring you a new lesson channeled by Mark Crocker that took place in 1997. This one begins our series on healing and is by my twin soul Karra, who is doing the presenting. She is a member of Ashtar Command in a higher dimension, and you can see her just over my shoulder. This lesson is called Healing 101 in the Prerequisite, and in it, she gives us all the basics for a beginning healer. Everything said by her in this channeled lesson is of the utmost importance for anyone looking to become a healer, and its core lesson is that of quantum healing, the healing being done before any healing actually takes place. The key to all healing is belief, and in this dissertation she gives us all the right advice for a healing to have the best chance of success. For a full transcript of this channel lesson, please go to our link at centerforascension.org/he_text1.html or our main homepage, centerforascension.org. Now represent Karra and her channel lesson called Healing 101 and the Prerequisites.
Okay, now let's look at something of interest and topics that we have covered in previous channel sessions, and that is the rules of cleanliness, using speech therapy to heal a psychological problem, and quantum healing. Okay, now let's put all of these together in a single explanation. Okay. Cleanliness is very important, and it involves what?
A awareness of the fact that you need to be clean.
That's the first step. But I'm talking about, what do you need?
As in knowledge?
No. Remember a while back we went over, you need clean
Fingernails.
And
Clean mind.
clean
Hands.
clean mind,
Clean environment to work in.
Mhm.
Clean tools.
Mhm.
And clean outer garments.
Correct. Now, all of these things give you an air of authority in the fact that you are clean, coupled with the self-confidence in yourself of being able to do what you have set yourself to do. Now, if you are nice and clean, working in a clean environment, and you have a patient that has a psychological problem, you immediately give yourself the air that you can help just by being clean in a clean environment, with a clean mind, with clean tools and clean fingers and clean fingertips. All of these things tell a lot about something. When dealing with a psychological problem, they will give you more of an opening, because the person will look at you and see that you are clean. You are healthy. You can help them. So when you are addressing their mental problems with your clean fingernails and your clean fingers and your clean mind and your clean clothing and your clean environment and your clean tools, you have immediately started to heal them on the quantum level. On a microscopic level, you have affected them and how their mind starts to react. And in doing so, you have put them on the road to recovery. You have given them a glimpse of where they can go. Now what happens from there is very important in how you proceed. Before I deal with any patient that is conscious, I talk to them. I tell them where I want to go, what I'm planning to do, how I'm planning to help them. and how they should be when we have finished. This is important because, again, on a quantum level, you are setting in place goals, objectives, and expectations. All very important. And if the individual knows what the goals, expectations are, then you can start the healing. And in doing so, you have to install another factor: belief. Belief that they can be healed. Because if an individual does not believe that they can be healed, then it is a lot of hard work that you have ahead of you. So they have to believe that you can heal. If they are used to a ritualized experience, and ritual is important in every medical procedure, you'll be surprised. Even today. You don't believe me that even today ritual is used in your hospitals?
I do.
Okay, tell me how you think ritual is used.
Well, for example, whenever I go to an emergency room, first thing I do is have to fill out the papers. And then I get admitted to a waiting room. And then guaranteed a minimum of half hour will be spent in that waiting room before the doctor finally gets in to see me, or a nurse to take my temperature, do some preliminary work, before the doctor gets there. Unless I was emergency and on my deathbed.
Correct. Even then, there is a ritual.
Right, but guaranteed there is a set routine that they will go through before you even get treated.
So, as a healer, what must you do?
Adhere to a similar sort of procedure as far as preparation.
Correct. But the waiting in itself has an important key. And I really shouldn't lead like a sieve when I'm doing dissertation. It takes all the fun out of it. But, yeah, you have to modify for the environment that you are in. Let us say you are dealing with a Native American. You have to be knowledgeable on their religious practices and their healing practices, and how you plan to help. If you're dealing with a white American male, you have to know how they believe that they can be healed. And belief is very, very important. Without belief in yourself, they believing that you can heal them, there is not that much that you can do. Because without belief, the body does not cooperate. When you go to a doctor to be healed, you believe that he can heal you. And in doing so, you are on the first road to recovery. And when you are doing the healing, you have to give that air of confidence with your
Cleanliness.
correct. Now, why are we pounding this into you?
Because it makes it more of a habit to fall into.
Correct. Okay, now you have your patient, and you've gone through the preliminaries. You have talked to them. You have found out what they think is wrong with them. You have taken their pulse, taken their heartbeat, and checked their temperature. You have started the healing process. If you just walk in and sit down and say, okay, I'm going to heal you using this knife, this pharmaceutical, and these pieces of cloth, then they're going to look at you and go, are you a doctor? Do you know what you're doing? But if you come in, sit down and talk to them, and go through the ritual, they know that you are a doctor, that you are able to help them. Let us scratch the word doctor and say healer, because doctor in your planet,
very male term.
partly, it is also to do with official documentation. So, we have the setup. We have our
clean hands, clean fingernails, clean clothes, clean environment, clean tools, and clean mind.
correct. But we always start with clean fingernails because they're the very tips. Okay?
Okay.
So, we got our patient, and the patient is ready. We've gone through the rituals. We've gone through taking their pulse, taking their temperature, taking their heartbeat, and talking to them, and finding out what led up to the illness, what happened before the accident, what happened before they felt the way that they do. We have deduced that it is fill in the blanks ailment. Now, we have to act in a way that gives them confidence that we can heal them. This confidence is part of the belief process. Whether they believe in some higher deity, the healer, or something else, you have to interact in that way. If they believe in some deity, then you have to interact within the expected rules. If you're acting as a healer, you have to act within the prescribed patterns that a healer interacts in, or the same as in others. Now that we have the setup, we have deduced that the patient suffers from fill-in-the-blanks ailment. We have got their confidence. They believe that we can heal them. Where do we go now? We start the healing process.
Right.
And in doing so, we have to, again, interact in the way that they think that the healer does. Whether it is a witch doctor, medical physician, or other. Psychic healer, whatever. You have to behave in those patterns. Any questions?
Now that you've got all that, part of the ritual that you have to go through is actually, helping the patient feel more at ease. Because you're actually making the patient heal himself, or you're helping the patient heal himself.
Yes, we did cover that.
Right. So, wouldn't some of the ritual that you're going through make the patient actually more nervous?
Yes. Yes, it does. But as long as the belief is there, then the healing process continues. Sometimes by a person being nervous, heart rate goes up, blood pressure goes up, etc., adrenaline is released. That, in actual fact, can speed up the healing process. And this is important. If the person is petrified, you cannot heal, because they are on fear mode.
Right.
But if they are suffering a little bit from nervousness, it has to stay a little bit of nervousness. You've seen me in healings.
Yeah.
And if the person is nervous, what do I do?
I've never seen a patient nervous with you, though.
Yes, you have.
No.
Carrie.
She was never nervous around you.
She was the first few times.
Was she?
Yes.
I always remember she was very wanting to get healed.
Mm-hmm.
I never saw nervousness involved there.
Early on there was.
Okay.
And how did we get her over that nervousness?
I don't remember.
We clowned around a little.
Oh.
For example, Okay, we want you to manifest a ball of white light in front of you. Right in front of you, right here. Put your hands on either side and visualize it. Don't grasp the ball too tightly. Come on, you remember that phrase.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, so that made it more relaxed.
Yes, because I was clowning around.
Right.
In her mind, she was seeing a ball. And it was a nice small ball. And all of a sudden, I throw out the banana skin and say, don't squeeze it too tightly. It's in the tone of the voice. Very important. Very important. So, we have humour thrown into the equation. Now, normally, spiritual healers do the ritual on their own. There are helpers around that bring things, much like a nurse brings things. The job of the helpers is to watch for any danger signs, not only from the healer, but from the patient. Because, as we briefly touched upon fear can do some very unusual things to an individual.
Well, stop the healing process.
Correct. The patient can become violent. And it is the job of the healers, or the assistants, rather, to be there to help.
Okay.
Okay, now, let us get to the last bit of healing. Okay, and that is the setup, the ritual, the healing itself. That we've created the environment, we have the individual that is willing, we have soothed them. It is a problem that needs addressing. Now, normally, in indigenous populations' religious practices and the healings, the faith healings, there is the head shaman, the head healer, the head doctor. And their purpose is to focus and direct the mind of the individual that is being healed. And to manipulate energy flows within the person and to address the ailment itself. And we have set up with our religious, physical setup. We have our bed, our altar, our circle, our square, our candles, our fluorescent lights, whatever. And we have the patient. And we're sitting beside them or before them, or to one side, with our
clean fingertips, clean hands, clean clothes, clean mind, clean tools, and clean environment.
So, we start the healing, which we will cover next time.
Okay.
Okay, any questions?
Yeah. Now what about the patient? Should the patient be clean?
If possible, yes.
Okay.
Sometimes it is not possible.
I mean, you can't clean them, or just the area you're going to be working in, maybe?
Clean the area that you're working in most certainly, without a shadow of a doubt. But let us say you come across a vehicle accident.
Right.
and you're going to try and help as best as you can until more qualified people arrive on the scene.
Well, a proper healer will have at least something to clean the area with them.
Correct. So you cannot clean the patient, just the area.
Right. I think I got that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you'd clean the area.
Correct.
Right. Okay.
Next question?
Oh, that's it.
Okay. Now, why do we start off with clean fingernails, clean hands, etc.?
Because you start from the outside and work in.
Not quite. Because it is something that you start off with. What is the first thing that you use when you approach a patient?
Your hands.
Correct. And 9 times out of 10, what is the first part of your hands that touches the patient?
Your fingernails.
Correct. So we start off with the most important,
Right.
which is,
Your clean fingernails.
and then your clean hands, and your clean clothing,
Right.
and your clean tools, and your clean mind, and your clean environment. That's why we start off with our fingernails. Okay, hon.
Okay then.